1993 murder of Brenda Whitefield at the request of the Kentucky Innocence Project. The investigation assisted with the exoneration of Edwin Chandler. In 2010, the Kentucky Innocence Project requested a reinvestigation into the 1997 murder of Tyrone Camp. This investigation assisted with the exoneration of Mr. Kerry Porter. And in 2020, Mr. Butler founded Clemency Investigations, a nonprofit focused on reviewing murder convictions with the claim of innocence. Clemency Investigations is actively involved in 6 homicide convictions in 5 different states. So thank you, Denny, for joining us. Mr. Jim Lasowski is a lifetime prosecutor, starting his career in 1985 in the Jefferson County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office and retiring in 2015 from the United States Attorney's Office in the Western Division of Kentucky as an Assistant United States Attorney. Since retiring, Mr. Lasowski has worked as a special prosecutor on numerous criminal cases with the Kentucky Attorney General's Office and works alongside with the nonprofit Clemency Investigations founded by Mr. Butler. As a special prosecutor, Mr. Lasowski was instrumental in the investigation and prosecution of a nefarious Louisville Metro Police Officer, Mark Handy. Mr. Handy was the former LMPD detective that was responsible for the wrongful convictions of Mr. Edwin Chandler, Mr. Keith West, Mr. Jeff Clark, and Mr. Keith Harden. And we also have with us Larry Simon. He's an attorney in Louisville, Kentucky. He's a graduate of the University of Louisville, and upon graduation from U of L in 1980, he served as an assistant Commonwealth attorney in Jefferson County from 1980 to 1985. Since 1985, he's been in private practice defending people charged with felony and misdemeanor offenses in the state and federal courts at trial, appellate, and post-conviction levels. He serves as appointed counsel under the Criminal Justice Act in the U.S. District Courts for the Western District of Kentucky and the Southern District of Indiana. He has been litigating cases under 42 U.S.C. 1983, as well as other state and federal personal injury claims that have resulted from government misconduct or negligence in policing. He has served as Kentucky counsel for the Innocence Project of the Benjamin Cardozo School of Law since 1999, and he was part of the team of lawyers that represented Edwin Chandler in a civil action against the police, alongside of Margaret O'Donnell of Frankfurt and Nick Brustein of Newfield Sheck and Brustein of New York. So I want to welcome all of our panelists. They're going to talk to you about Edwin's case and what their involvement was and what their thoughts about working on the case, the barriers and the obstacles that they encountered on their way to seeking justice for Edwin Chandler. So I think we're going to start out leading this conversation by Mr. Butler.
I think it's working. All right. Well, my name is Denny Butler, and my career started in 91, like Suzanne said. In 1995, I transitioned on the police department into investigations, and that's where I found where my true heart and calling was, and stayed in investigations throughout my career. In 2008, I was transferred to our homicide unit as a sergeant because I always wanted to work a homicide from the beginning to the end. That was what I enjoyed doing. I think I was pretty good at it. And in 2008, that's when I got a phone call from the Kentucky Innocence Project as a sergeant on the police department. And there was an investigator named Ian Roper who worked with the Innocence Project back then for Kentucky. And he asked me to look at Mr. Chandler's case. I didn't know Mr. Chandler, didn't know anything about the case. It was a 1993 Louisville case, Louisville Police Department case. I was on Jefferson County Police, and then we merged in 03. So I had access to everything. And he gave me some information, and he said, we've got a witness that said Mr. Chandler wasn't there, he wasn't part of it. And you have to go back, each one of these cases, and a lot of times we don't talk about it, but each one of these cases starts with someone being murdered. And put that in my job, Jim's job, as a prosecutor, we put people in prison for bad acts. And I don't think there would be any disagreement in this room Miss Whitfield went to work and was shot in the head during a robbery. She had a young child at home. And the person responsible for that should be held accountable. I don't think you would get an argument in the room from anyone. The problem was they had the wrong guy. And when Mr. Roper told me, here's some particulars, he gave me the witness's name. He told me about Mr. Chandler. And I said, well, tell me a little bit more